To search for a patient in SIP+, there are several options. First, we can search by the patient's identification by typing in the field. Then select pregnancies, and this will populate a list or populate the patient's files. Note that if we search by identification, we will not be able to type in the patient's first or last name. And this is because SIP+ allows us to search by one of the options at a time. I will delete the patient's identification number, and then I will type the patient's first or last name. And in this instance, it is Samantha as the first name. Note that we do not need to type the first and last names, only the first or last name. Also, it is important that we use the standard spelling for our names in the system, because however the names were spelt or the words are spelt in the system, that is the same way that you will have to spell them when you search for a patient. Once I type my patient's first or last name, I can select pregnancies, and then a list will populate with all of the patients that have that first name. We can also add filters to our search by selecting the green plus sign, and I will select date of birth as my filter, and I'll go to the mother's date of birth. Note that 2 additional boxes have appeared next to the mother's date of birth page, and we will leave the second box with the equal sign, and then we will click on the box to the right of the equal sign that is empty. This will bring a menu of years, and we can toggle between the years by selecting the left or right arrows. For this demonstration, I will select the year 2013, and once my year is selected, it displays at the top of the box, and then I can select the month by clicking on the abbreviation. Once the month is selected, the month and year appear at the top of the box, and then I can select the date. Note that now my date of birth is filled in the box that was once empty. I can then select pregnancies, and it will work as the previous search options. To close the filter, and note that you will need to close the filter before you can move on to search for another patient, select the red trash can, and it will close. And that is how we search for a patient in SIP+.